where we're holding is the Gemara had a steer in Rab Shimon. Rab Shimon said that the Bald onion is midrabanan, therefore, although the onion won't be able to eat stam karbonis, but the Korbon Pesach, they let him eat. Why? Because the Korbon Pesach is an assay, sheyesh boikaris. Right? Rab Shimon Omer, Onen, Einem Medivir Torah, El Medivir Soifen, Teda, Sharei Amru, Onen, Toivel, V'oicheles Pischei La'erev, Avaloi B'kachim. So that seems to indicate that at least the aninus at night is midrabanan, and therefore the rabbanon are able to waive it, not to get in the way of the mitzvah of Achilas Korbon Pesach. Right? The Gemara asked on that, V'atanya Rab Shimon Omer, Onen Einoi Mishaleach Karbonoisa. We have, and the Gemara brings, the Brayta brings psukim from Rab Shimon that Onen does not send his karbonos, meaning that the rabbanon isn't forced even for the Korbon Pesach. So yesterday, the teretz that the Gemara offered up was that it doesn't mean Korbon Pesach, it means the Shalmei Pesach. And you would have think that just like the Pesach, the rabbanon say bring, so too the Shalmei Pesach. Kamash Malon that even the Shalmei Pesach aren't brought. But now Rav Mori wants to say another teretz. I'm going to open up this screen because this way you're going to point to different places, which I'm going to be pointing to different places. You'll be able to see on the screen what I'm referring to. And the whole daf today is going to be discussing different mahalchim in how to deal with the stira in Rab Shimon. Do you say that the onion brings the Korbon Pesach or not? Right? But also has to do with if the onion at night is deraisa or not. It's a match for the brisa that the onion at night is deraisa, and therefore you won't bring the Korbon Pesach. Because if it was the rabbanon, they would have waived it because it's an association because. So Rav Mori Omar, and now we can turn on to today's daf of Kuf Amud Aleph. Loi kasha, it's not a steer in Rab Shimon. You know why? Han shemeis loy meis b'yud daled. One brisa is speaking when the mace died on Yudalit. So the Yom Hamisa was Yudalit. There it's Dairaisa. The aninus of Yom Hamisa is the Iraisa. V'tafes leiloi midairaisa. And even the night after the day of aninus is Dairaisa. So the brisa that says that the Korbon Pesach is not brought by an Onen, Kancha Meis Lemeis b'Yudalit, V'karvroi b'Yudalit. And therefore, there's an Isur Dairaisa for this onion to eat kachim, and that's why Rab Shimon said that he doesn't bring the Korbon Pesach. But when Rab Shimon said that he can eat a Pesach at night, right? Teda, that the Korbon Pesach he could bring when he's an onion and eat it at night when he's always onion. Kancher meis loy meis b'yud gimel. The day Yom Misa was not on Erev Pesach; it was the day before Erev Pesach. The kavroi b'yudalit. So yudalit is the Yom HaKfura. The aninus of Yom HaKfura is not a raisa. That's the rabbanon. Meis loy meis b'yudalit. The kavroi b'yudalit. Yom Misa toifes leila midai raisa. There's an isur daraisa for an onion to eat from karbonis. But meis lemeis b'yud gimel, the cover b'yudalit, Yom Kvur is only the Rabbanan. The Yom HaKvur, which is Yudalit, he's only an onion Rabbanan. But therefore, einei teifais leiloi elamid Rabbanan. Therefore, the isur to eat karbonis at night, the isur onion at night is also midrabanan. And since it's only midrabanan, there Bezdin could waive that for the Korbon Pesach because it's an association because. So now, at this point, which is not going to remain throughout, but at this point, we're saying that Yom HaMisa is Deraisa, and the Leil after Yom HaMisa is also Deraisa. Yom HaKfura, if it's not the Yom HaMisa, is Derabanan, and the night after is also Midrabanan. Does that make sense?
So the night after Kfura is done?
It's Pesach by night, but they would only be an Isser of Oinen and Midirabanan, and they waive it to allow you to eat the Korbon Pesach because the Korbon Pesach has it's a Seisheish Bekaris.
The night before, the Misa was the day before, that night is only the.
If the Misa was the day before, the night after the Yom Misa is Midaraisa. The Yom Misa is Daraisa, and the night after the Yom Misa is also Daraisa. Omer le Rav Ashi le Rav Mori. So Rav Ashi told Rav Mori, if that's the case, let's go back and look at the conversation that Rav Shimon had with the Rabbanan. So I'm going back to Tzadik Tesam base. And what did the Rabbanan say? Zok Gemara, Aninus Laila midivrei Torah. The Aninus at night is the Raisa. That's what the Tanakama said. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. That's what Rabbi Yehuda said, right? Rabbi Shimon Omer, Onen Einem midivrei Torah, Elam midivrei Sovereign, Teda Shari Amru Onen Toivel Vaychos Piskaleres. Now let's think for a second. When Rabbi Yehuda says Onen is midivrei Torah, what was he talking about? He actually, his makor, we're going to see soon, comes from the fact that Moshe Rabbeinu asked, since you're an Onen, Aaron Cohen said, we're an Onen today, but we still ate the carbon paste. We didn't throw out, we didn't pass on the chatos because we were Onen them, because we were still going to eat at night. But you see, they didn't have Aninus midaraisa. And we're going to see soon in Rashi later on that what they said was, there was a difference between the year of the Miluyim and Viter, because in the year of the Miluyim, the only Kohanim around were Aaron and his children. They were all owning them. So since there's nobody else to eat the carbon, there, Midaraisa, they allow you, even the night after the Yom HaMisa, to eat the carbon. That was an exception for the Miluyim. But from there you learn that for the rest of the generations where there's many other Kohanim that could eat the carbonis, it does not be the Kohen Oinen, so therefore, Midaraisa, it's prohibited. So, I don't understand what Reb Shimon is responding to the Rabbanan. The Rabbanan are talking about Aninus Daraisa, which is Yom HaMisa. So they're talking about apples, and then Reb Shimon argues with oranges. No, Yom HaKfur is the Rabbanan. If Reb Shimon was talking about Yom HaKfur here. So, Frank the Gemara, the way Reb Ami is learning this Brisa, the conversation between Reb Yehuda and Reb Shimon is disconnected. Reb Yehuda is talking about Aninus Daraisa, and Reb Shimon is talking about Aninus Darabanan. It's two different subjects.
The same day.
Because Reb Shimon agrees that Yom HaMisa there's Aninus Daraisa. So why would he argue on Reb Yehuda and say Aninus is B'Darabanan? No, Aninus is B'Daraisa. I agree with you. We're talking about Yom HaMisa. So then it's Yom HaMisa. Yom HaMisa Yom HaKfur is a day. You're not going to be more makel because of that. It still has the chum of Yom HaMisa. Avada. So Zog to Gemara, the way Reb Ami is understanding Reb Shimon, that he's making a distinction between Yom HaKfur and Yom HaMisa. What are you talking about, Reb Shimon? We're talking about Aninus Daraisa. That's only Yom HaMisa. The Amart Li, it's Yom Kavur Darabanan. Like the emphasis is Tzimzach, kosher. So they blind shver on Reb Mori's teretz. So we're gonna now go on to a different teretz because Reb Mori's teretz seems to be rejected. Abaye Amar Loi Kasha. Abaye is going back to the original kasha again. This theory in Reb Shimon. Reb Shimon says Oinen Toivel B'Chol Pesach B'Im Ba'erev, but in the second brayso he says that an onion doesn't bring the Pesach. Zogt Abaye. Let me tell you a chiddush awesome. Kan shemeis koydem chatzois. It depends on when he became an Oinen. Did he become an Oinen before Chatzois, before the Chiyuv Pesach was upon him? Because the Chiyuv of Korbon Pesach is after Chatzois, on their Pesach. Or did he already have the Chiyuv Pesach and only afterwards did the Chiyuv of Aninus come? So Zoktamar Koydem Chatzois, the Loi Ichsil Pesach, if he became an Oinen before Chatzois, where he was never royu to bring the Korbon Pesach, even before the chiyuv of the Korbon Pesach was setting in. Chayil alei aninus. The aninus is chal upon him. So if the aninus is chal upon him, then he doesn't have a chiyuv to bring the Korbon Pesach. And that's what Reb Shimon was talking about when he said that an oinen doesn't bring the Korbon Pesach. But acher chatzois, the ichsel Pesach, once he already had the chiyuv to bring the Korbon Pesach, right, there is no din aninus. There's no din aninus. Like chayla aninus. Even if it's Yom HaMisa. The aninus wasn't chal upon him. And once the aninus is not chal upon him, so now the question is, the chiyuv achil didn't come till the night. The chiyuv achil didn't come till the night. So why did he get to eat it at night? Mamela has a chiyuv to bring it. Well, why does he have a chiyuv achil to eat it? Zokt Rashi, this pshat only makes sense if you hold that the Achilas Pesach is ma'akiv. So therefore, once he has a chiyuv to bring the Korbon Pesach, automatically he has a chiyuv to eat the Korbon Pesach. Therefore, at night will be there. But so you also have to say in this pshat that even though aninus of Yom HaMisa is daraisa, you have to say the night after is not daraisa, right? So we've already departed from what Rabbi Ami said. Rabbi Ami wanted to say that the aninus of Yom HaMisa is daraisa sai b'yoim and sai b'layla. Here we're saying the aninus is only midaraisa b'yoim, and that doesn't apply here because his chi of Korbon Pesach came first. But the aninus of night is only midrabanan, and the rabbanan could let him eat it because otherwise he won't be able to be a kind of mitzvah.
And you never have a deraisa at night.
Unless the person died at night. Then the night is the Yom Misa, which we're going to discuss soon. So let's see Abai. Rashi elaborates a little bit on Abai's pshat. Amar Abai, EDV Yom Misa. Both brises are talking about Yom Misa. Uloylam aninus laila Reb Shimon rabbanan. But Reb Shimon holds even if midaraisa there is an Isser Aninus, that's only by Yoim, but not by night. Udekatani bebraisa Pesach enei baba Aninus. That the brisa Pesach. You don't bring one Aninus, the second brisa. That's Kishemeis Koidim Chatzais. The Rachmano Dachye Mahaikra de Darshinon Kishu Sholem Umevi Veloy Kishoim. Once he became an Onen before the Chiyuv to bring his Korbon Pesach set in, because of this pasuk of Kishu Sholem Umevi, he is nitche from the mitzvah of Korbon Pesach, right? Udekatani b'psachim toivel v'oichel pischai in the brisa that says in psachim that says toivel v'oichel pischai alma ma'isi le'oinen. That's speaking kishemeis achachatzois because the kadma choiva shchitas Pesach la'aninus. The chiyuv Pesach already was chal. Once it was chal, the sulei dochi le'aninus milishalech karbonai. So the deraisa is only nageya if he became an Onen before the Chiyuv Pesach. But if he became Mechuyev in the Korbon Pesach first, the Dairaisa does not answer him from bringing the Korbon. Umiu, al karchach shmamina aninus laila dirabon. One thing we have to stick with is that aninus laila dirabon, otherwise there's no way around this. The imi Dairaisa, if you're going to say even the following night of Yom HaMisa Dairaisa, halayachal, he wouldn't be able to eat the Korbon Pesach. The fact that he can eat the Korbon Pesach is proof positive that at nighttime it's only a derbanon, and the rabbanon could waive that. Nihida kadma chayva shchita laninos. Even the chiv shchita of the Korbon Pesach was chal before the aninos. That's chalat chatzois. Aval chayvas achila like kadmalei, because that only happens at night, and he was an onen before the night. Achilas psachim loy makvel abai, and Abai holds that eating the Pesach is not ma'akev. So I'm wrong. Abai holds achilas psachim is not ma'akev. So how come he gets to eat it? Ela mishum da aninis laila derabanon v'heim lo himidu devreim b'mokum koreis the dilma mimin l'shachet. So I was wrong when I said earlier that he holds that achilas kachim is ma'akev, because then even midaraisa he should be able to, even if it's a deraisa at night, he should, the same way we let him bring the Korbon, we should let him eat the Korbon. But he holds not like that. He holds that achilas was not ma'akev. So really he shouldn't be able to eat at night, because he was an onen before the chiyuv achila came. But the rabbanon have a right to waive that for the same svara, because lehemidu devreim b'mokum kares. And there's more of a svara to it, because the dilma mamna v'lo shachet. Imagine the chatzos came and he became a chuyev in a Korbon, and then he became an onen. We're paskening that he needs to bring the Korbon, right? Because aninus is not doicha the chiyuv Pesach, right? But he said, I don't want to bring it because you're not going to let me eat it. Because Achilas Pesach is not ma'akev. I'm an onen, you're not going to let me eat it tonight. So I don't want to bring it. So in order to avoid such a concern, we say we'll let him eat it. So there's two reasons why we let him eat it. A is because Achilas Pesach is an essential bekaris, and B is we're afraid he won't want to even shech the Korbon if he knows he's not going to be able to eat it. Inami, there's a third reason. Kiven da karchach shachte, he shechted it already. Lav oich ara the namru yishchetenu menafli pasal. It's not their chance to make a guy shechted when he knows it's going to be pasal. Hilchach oichel pischei. Avaloi shar kachim. Other kachim he wouldn't be able to eat. Afilu leil pesach. Other kachim he couldn't eat. Tamidu devreim b'makom asein. So now that we have this, let's go back to the Mishnah. Umasnisin the kinan. Imizam le'achol. We have a Mishnah that said that even though an onion doesn't get, he's not chaylik and kachim, but at night we let him eat, right? That was a dik we made from the Mishnah. That's not talking about Yom Misa. That's talking about Yom Kvura. The Amar Rashi La'il, the mace be Gimel, the cover be Dalad, afilu b'derabanan loy tafas leilon. They hold that if a ninus that's only midirabanan, like the ninus of Yom Kvura, that doesn't apply at all tonight. Only a ninus deraisa applies the night after, but not a ninus derabanan of the Yom Kvura. So we see there's a lot of different shittas. If at night is deraisa or if it's derabanan, even by Yom Misa, right? And Yom Kvura is derabanan. Is there also a derabanan on the night? There's, you could see it's a very fluid situation, and there's many opinions about it.
May not even be Rabbanan.
I'm sorry?
It may not even be Rabbanan.
Correct. Correct. And that's what we're saying now, according to this pshat from Abaye. So Abaye offers a steer and Shimon that the difference is before Chatzos and after Chatzos. Before Chatzos, if he became an line before Chatzos, the Aninas is doicha the mitzvah, it's a deraisa. But if he became an line after Chatzos, then the mitzvah of the Korbon Pesach, the deraisa is doicha the Aninas deraisa. And the eating that we let him eat it at night, that's only because even if the Aninas, the Yom is deraisa by Yom Misa, the Aninas Delilah is only with the Rabbanon, and the Rabbanon waived it for multiple reasons, either because the Seish Bekaris, or because the guy won't want to shecht, or just not appropriate to shecht the carbon and then leave it to be possible.
They're not really if it's Rabbanan or not.
Yeah, if they can waive it.
They
could waive it for Pesach.
Or it's not even Rabbanan, it's only waive.
Yeah. So Tosfos gets into an interesting discussion. Based on Rashi's last pshat, that it's not their cheres that we should let it become possible. If he doesn't eat from it, what if there's other menuyin? Other people will eat it. Who said he has to eat it?
Just one person.
So Tosfos says could be a ride from here that every one of the menuyin has to eat the carbon a little bit, otherwise it'll become possible. And Tosfos gets into a discussion about it. Okay, Zok to Gemara weiter. Just an interesting side discussion. Okay, Zok to Gemara weiter. Now Akbaya just came out with a bombshell chiddush that Aninas is only chal on the Erev Pesach before Chatzos, not after. To say that, Abai can't say that on his own. He needs to bring rayas from the Titans, right? We know Tamer the Shani like ben Kadim Chatzos, ben Lach Chatzos, right? You do the hair. It's a very big chiddush. Abai actually need a raya to that. Zok Tamor de Tanya. Now we're changing gears and we're going to the Kohen Gadol. It says V'lachoisai habesula hakaroi ve'elov asher loy hoisalish lo yitama. There's a mitzvah or not. He's allowed. The question is lo yitama means he may be matama to his sister. We're talking about a kohen here, or he must be matama to his sister. What does that mean? The Tanya Dr. Bryce, a lo yitama mitzvah. It's a mitzvah to be matama. It's not tama rishus. He's mukhuyif to be matama to his shev and kohen. Lo yratza mataman oisay al korcha. You force him to be matama. We're going to soon see that this is the shita of Rabbi Kiva. Umaysa be Yosef akoyin shemesa ishtoi be'erev Pesach. His wife died on Erev Pesach. V'lo yratza litamei, and he didn't want to become tamei. He wanted to bring the Korbon Pesach anyway. He was a kohen. He's not allowed to become tamei. He wanted to bring the Korbon Pesach. He didn't want to become tamei. V'nimnu echa v'kainam v'temu b'alkorcha. They forced him to be metama because lo yitama Dr. Rabbi Kiva is a chiv to be metama. Right. This reminds me of the Super Bowl joke. Right. They all wanted to go to the funeral. You notice there's a guy sitting at the 50-yard line at the Super Bowl, thousands of dollars I think it's worth, and the seat near him was empty. So somebody asked him, "The seat's empty." Like he said, "You could sit there, no problem." They said, who would buy such an expensive seat and leave it empty? He says, "Well, it's my wife's seat. For the last 50 years, she's coming to join me, and now her seat's available." He says, "What happened? She died." So he said, "Okay, she died, but you have so many relatives that would be delighted to come. How come you didn't offer to them?" He says, "Well, they all wanted to go to the funeral." So that's Mamashad's case. He didn't want to leave B'tama. Now we're changing gears and we're going to Nazir. So let's look at the psukim by Nazir. It says, Kol Yemei Haziroi Lashem, all the days that this person is a Nazir, Al Nefesh Meis Lo Yavoy. The Gemara is going to point out Nefesh Meis is redundant. You can say Al Nefesh Lo Yavoy or Al Meis Lo Yavoy. Right? Then the pasuk continues and gives detail. This is all going to be a big kasha because if I know Laviv, so what I speak Alimai? Madach Laviv, he can't be Madam Koshka Limai. If I know Laviv Imai, Koshka Lachav. If I know Laviv Lo Koshka Lachosai. So there needs to be a chiddush that's learned out of everyone on this list. Zok Gemara, it says of Alachoisai. So the Bryce asks, now this Bryce that we're quoting here, we're smack in the middle of the Bryce. The Gemara soon is going to reveal to us how the Bryce starts. But right now we're smack in the middle of the Bryce, right? V'lachoisai. Ma Talmud Loimer. What's pshat that the Torah says lachoisai? What's the chiddush of lachoisai? It already says ava v'nima. The teretz is if someone had a multitude of reasons why he shouldn't make himself tummy. A, he was going to check his Korbon Pesach. And to bimal his son, because he can't bring the Pesach if his son's an oral, right? And he found out that he's anointing. Yochol yitamei, you might think that he should be metama to the mace. As a nazir, we say no. Amit lo yitma. He's not allowed to be metama because he's a nazir. Yochol kashem shelo yitma lachoisai. Kach ein metama l'meis mitzvah. The same way he's not allowed to be metama as a nazir. For his sister, he can't be metama for a meis mitzvah. Tamelome v'lachoisai. We medayik lachoisai hu de'enim metame av metame hu l'meis mitzvah. So let me ask you a question. We're saying that he should be mitama for the meis mitzvah, but not for his sister. Meaning, his sister died today, and he should not be mitama because we want him to be able to bring the Korbon Pesach. Right? Well, if his sister died today, is he not anointed? So never mind the fact that he's tameh, even if he won't be mitama, he can't bring the Korbon Pesach anyway because he is anointed. So on the one hand, you have a scenario where we force him to become tameh and not bring the Korbon Pesach. That was the first brisa. The second brisa says, no, he shouldn't be metama. And even though he's an oinen, he could bring the Korbon Pesach. So what is it? We have a steer in these two brises. So no. The only way to ever steer in brises is kan koidim chatzois. The brisa that says that he brings the Korbon, I'm sorry. The first price that says that that's when he became an oinen before chatzos, where he can't bring the Korbon. So there you force him to be metama. But kan la'achar chatzos, the brisa that says that he should not be metama for his sister, is speaking when his sister died after chatzos. So therefore, as an oinen, he's allowed to bring it, and therefore we don't let him get tamei. So you have a raya that there's a distinction. It's not a clear raya. It's just because we have a stira, it forced this teretz to make the distinction between kodim chatzos and achar chatzos. Since if the relative died before chatzos, so then when chatzos arrives and the chiyuv to bring the Korbon Pesach wants to be chal, the aninis won't let it be chal. So therefore he's part to bring the Korbon Pesach. But if he's already mechuyev in bringing the Korbon Pesach and he becomes an oinen, the oinen won't get in the way. So let's look at Rashi, 3 lines down in the wide lines. Lachoise in mitama. Zok Rashi alma osya choyva de Pesach, the osra li tame. You see from this pasuk that the chiyuv to bring the Korbon Pesach, and of course the fact that he's a nazir, asers him to become tame to his sister, and obviously umevi Pesach. That's the whole point, right? They're saying he had a Pesach to bring, so obviously he's going to bring the Pesach. How can he bring the Pesach? Because al kadaitach the tervayu katani al libedu Rabbi Kiva. Now it doesn't quote who said these halachas. We're making an assumption that both these halachas are going according to Rabbi Kiva, where there's a mitzvah to be metama. Dom lo yitama mitzvah. V'hilchach lo misukma hach basraisa ela b'shemeis lacha chatzos. You have to say that she died after chatzos, because if she died before chatzos, you would be mechayev him to be metama. But if she died after chatzos, the Isa Chayvus Pesach, the Dochi Mitzvahs Toma. Just like we're going to say that the Chiyuv Pesach is Doicha Daninos, maybe it'll also be Doicha Dalo Yitama. The Kamaisa and the first brisa that says you're Matama him is B'meis Kodim Chatzois, Tavkata Aninos from Pesach. Anina said you're not bringing the Korbon Pesach, therefore be Matama to her. So based on this understanding, everything's going to Rabbi Kiva. The only way to explain the difference in Psak is because the mace either died before Chatzos, and then the Aninis is doiche, the Korbon Pesach, or after Chatzos, and the Korbon Pesach is doiche the Aninis. Dr. Gemara, if that's your whole Raya Abaye, to make a distinction between Kodim Chatzos and La'achar Chatzos, I can have a very different pshat to emphasize this stira in these two brises. Mimai. They're both after chatzos. They're both after chatzos. Avada aninus is not chal. Aninus is not chal. Why is aninus not chal? Because the mitzvah of the Korbon Pesach was already chal, right? But the whole machlokes is as to whether or not he's going to be able to eat from the Korbon Pesach. The first case was v'temu bal korch, he can't eat from the Korbon Pesach, and the second one says he shouldn't be metama, right? V'ha Rabbi Shmuel v'Rabbi Kiva, and let's say the brisa that says you're metama him is going according to Rabbi Shmuel, who holds that you don't have to be metama him. I'm sorry, who holds that he's not mechuyev. I'm sorry, the brisa that says you are metama him is going according to Rabbi Kiva. Rabbi Kiva says you're mechuyev to be metama, is mechuyev to become tamei. The brisa that says that he doesn't become tamei, it's because it's going according to Rabbi Shmuel that he has a right to be tamei, but he's not mechuyev to be tamei. So al taninus, regardless, there's no problem over here. The whole problem is if you're mechuyev to be metama him or not. According to Rabbi Shmuel, you're not mechuyev to be metama him. Therefore, let him bring the Pesach. And according to Rabbi Kiva, you're mechuyev to be metama him, and therefore he can't bring the Pesach.
Ask you if he could.
Correct. Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Kiva. The Tanya, we know there's such a machlokes. Lo yitama rishus, Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Kiva, Rabbi Chayva. So, how do you know to make a distinction between? How do you know to say it's dafkas? The whole brisa is Rabbi Kiva, and you have to make a distinction between before chatzos and after chatzos. Maybe it's all after chatzos, and therefore there's no din aninus. And the whole shaylir is whether or not he's mechuyev to become tamei or not. So you don't have your raya. We still do have a raya. Because the way you wanted to just learn that the beginning brisa is going according to Rabbi Shmuel, going to Rabbi Kiva, the second brisa is going according to Rabbi Shmuel is not mistaber. You know why? The ratio that he Rabbi Kiva Ketanila. The ratio of the second brisa that says that you're not metamahim, we know that's Rabbi Kiva talking as well. That's not Rabbi Shmuel. You want to say it's going according to Rabbi Shmuel. It's Rabbi Kiva. Because if you go to the beginning of the brisa, it starts off as follows. The Tanya Rabbi Kiva Omer. And Rabbi Kiva starts darshaning the psukim by Nazir. It says, the first pasuk it says, Kol Yimei Azir Hashem al Nefesh Meis Lo Yavli. Right? So he asks, Nefesh Elu HaKroivim. Meis is Elu HaRechayim. So we have to stop right there. I already know that he cannot be metama, that a Nazir cannot be metama, but to Kroivim, why do I need Meis to tell me that he cannot be metama to Rechayim if he can't even be metama to Kroivim? So Rashi tells us that if Nefesh doesn't imply Kroivim, if it only said Nefesh, I would say Nefesh means Rechayim. That's why it says Meis, so one deals with Rechayim, and then I know there's one available for Kroivim. Where do we have a similar thing? It says, Toishav u'schir lo yoichel boy. The toishav and the schir of a kohen may not eat truma. The Gemara said one's referring to an Eved Ivri who's working for 6 years, and one is referring to even an Eved Ivri who's working until Yovel. The Gemara said that why didn't it just say toishav? And if I know an Eved Nirtza can eat, kol shekin an Eved of Sheishanim. So the Gemara says if it only said one, I would say it's speaking about an Eved Sheishanim. Kamash Malon, the second one, right? And then the Gemara was applying that. The Gemara said, so why doesn't the Torah just say Nirtza and Sheishanim? Be clear. The teretz is because Milsa the Asa B'Kal V'Chomer Torach V'Kasav Lo B'Kra. Sure, you could know an Eved Ivri of Sheishanim, a Kal V'Chomer from an Eved Nirtza. But the Torah wants the B'davka speak them both out because it wants to speak out both of them. Even though it could have just said Nirtza, and I would have known a Schir Sheishanim from a Kal V'Chomer. Milsa does Kal V'Chomer Torach V'Kasav Lo B'Kra. So the Torah was B'davka vague because the Torah wanted to specifically write Sai about the Eved Nirtza and Sai about the Eved Sheishanim. We had that Gemara. And the Gemara says, but you can't compare that to the halacha of if you bring the chatas into the heichal, it's possible, and if you bring it into the Kodesh Kodashim, it's possible. Because there's Bechal Masayim Ana. But in order to get into the Kodesh Kodashim, you're going into the heichal. So you can't say over there, it says Ela Kodesh. If you bring it into the Kodesh, the Gemara said, Ela Kodesh Panima. That Kodesh means the heichal, and Panima means the Kodesh Kodashim. You can't say Milsa is a Klam Torah because of Lo B'Kra over there, because there it's not a Kal V'Chomer. You don't know Kodesh Kodashim, a Kal V'Chomer from the heichal. You know Kodesh Kodashim because if you go to the Kodesh Kodashim, you're automatically going through the Heichal. Also, the Gemara answered It still is a kal v'chomer because there's ways to get into the Kodesh Kodashim, not through the Eichel, through a back door. Or the other halacha the Gemara said is if you're planning to go into the Kodesh Kodashim and you only go into the Eichel, it will not become possible. Your intention is to go to the Kodesh Kodashim. It's only possible when you get into the Kodesh Kodashim, right? So this is a similar scenario. Mills to the also bekal v'chomer tarich v'kasav. Then the pasuk gets specific. Le'aviv ein matama. Now the question is, why did it speak out love ein matama? If I already know Korbon and Rechaikim, so Aviv is covered by Korbon. Why did it list up Aviv? To tell you a diak. La'aviv ein matama av matama hu l'meis mitzvah. Then why did it tell iman? I already know Korbon is meis mitzvah. The territory is what if there is even more factors why he should not be matama in addition to the fact that he's a nazir. Meaning, how you kohen v'hu nazir. What if he's a kohen and a nazir? Le'imay hu de'ein matama. He can't be matama to his mother. Avo matama hu l'meis mitzvah. But he still would have to be matama to a meis mitzvah. Why did it tell achiv? Shemaya kohen gadol v'hu nazir. Even if he's a kohen gadol and he's a nazir, le'echav hu de'ein matama av matama hu l'meis mitzvah. Ulachaysai matama doimer. So this is what we quoted, this snapshot, without quoting the whole thing, which is Rabbi Kiva talking. He should not become Tomei if he's a Nazir. So since both brises were sure going according to Rabbi Kiva, then we have a stira. One brise says you're Matama the Kohen, and one brise says you're not Matama the Kohen. It must be that Rabbi Kiva holds you're always Matama the Kohen. But the nafkamin is if it happened before Chatzois, then you're matama the kohen because the mitzvah of Korbon Pesach didn't set in. But if it happened after Chatzois, there Rabbi Kiva is moide that you're not matama the kohen because the mitzvah of Pesach set in and it's doiche tum and it's also doiche ninus. So this is the raya that there's a difference between kodim Chatzois and after Chatzois. So Abaye's shot is now confirmed because he wanted to say that nafkamin between the two Rabbi Shimons is kodim Chatzois and after Chatzois, and he proved it because we see you have to say the same thing according to Rabbi Kiva. But Rava has a different shot. So far we have this is our third shot. This is our third shot in the steer between Rabbi Shimons. The first one was it's not speaking about Pesach; it's speaking about Shalmei Pesach. The second one was the pshat of Rav Mori. What was the pshat of Rav Mori? That it was Yom Kfur, not Yom Misa, right? And the Gemara had a kash on that. And the third pshat was Abaye. Both of them are speaking Yom Misa. One's Kodim Chatzois, one's after Chatzois. Rav has a third pshat. Rav Amar Idi v'Idi Acher Chatzois. They're both after Chatzois, meaning that the chiyuv of the Korbon Pesach has already set in. So Sai the Reb Shimon who holds that you bring the Korbon Pesach and you toivel and eat it at night. Sai the Reb Shimon says you don't bring the Korbon Pesach is speaking where the person that after Chatzois where there was already a chiyuv. However, v'loy kasha kan kodim sheshachtu v'zarku olav kan la'achar sheshachtu v'zarku olav. Even if the mace died after Chatzois and the chiyuv of the Korbon Pesach set in, you still say that the ninus is doichet. The ninus is doichet, and you don't bring it. And that's what Reb Shimon is referring to in the Mishnah. You don't bring a Korbon Pesach if you're a niner. Reb Shimon said, Toivel vaychel la'erev. That's if by the time his relative died, he had already shechted the Pesach. So now he has a Korbon Pesach here that shechted already. There, we'll let him eat it. So, kan kodim sheshachtu v'zar kerlov, and that's why he doesn't bring the Pesach. Kan la'achar sheshachtu v'zar kerlov, and therefore Toivel v'oichel hischay. Now, let me ask you a question. He was toivel. He brought the Korbon Pesach, right? But he's an Onen of a deraisa of the Yom HaMisa, right? Now, if we're letting him eat it at night, then you have to say that ninus at night is still midrabanan, even of Yom HaMisa, right? But the question is, why would they let him eat the Korbon Pesach? What did we say on Amar Aleph? Why they let him once they shecht it, once he brings the Korbon, you let him eat it at night. Why do you let him eat it at night? Because we're afraid he won't want to shecht it, right? But over here, he shechted it before he knew somebody died. So you don't have to worry that if we don't let him eat it in this situation, he won't shecht it in the first place. Because when he shechted it, the person didn't die yet. That's right. He died after the shechita. If the person died after the shechita, you don't have to be worried that if you don't let him eat it next time, if it happens, he won't shecht. Because by the time the whole thing's on the game, by the time he finds out that he's an Onen, it was already shechted.
Unless you say like before that, everybody who's part of it has to eat. Otherwise, it's not.
Well, so,
Korbon.
no, so well, that's if you hold that you're mechuyev to eat. We don't have that shita yet.
Right.
We're right now we're working without the shita that the achilas psachim ma'akev. The Gemara is going to introduce that shortly. So Zok Gemara Amalei Rav Ada Bar Masna L'Rova. I don't understand. Achash shachtai v'zarek estamai madhava hava. Why do we need to say we better let him eat and let the Rabbanon relax the prohibition to eat kachim for an oinen? Why? He shechted already. Amalei Ravina, your teretz. Ravina said your teretz. Achilas psachim ma'akva. The reason why we make him eat, because then it would pass on the whole Korbon. Achilas psachim is ma'akev. Therefore, we have to let him eat. Therefore, we have to let him eat. How do we know? Where do we know this halacha that achilas psachim is ma'akva? Mida Rabba Barhum. That's the shita for Rabba Barhum. So what happened? Rava offered up a teretz, and Rav Ada asked a kasha on the teretz, right? And Ravina slugged up Rav Ada's kasha on the teretz of Rava, right? So Rava told Rav Ada, hey, how do you like that? Amar lei tzayis ma'idika amar lach Rabbach. Your Rebbe Ravina doesn't think your kasha is a good kasha because your Rebbe Ravina said yes, ma'ida hava hava, but psachim is achilas psachim is ma'akva. That's why we have to let him eat it at night. Good.
Yeah.
So now we have another teretz from Rava. It's our fourth teretz in Reb Shimon. The question is, was it shechted yet? If it was shechted and you let him eat it at night, if it wasn't shechted, he does not bring the korban. Okay, gavalti. And he disagrees with the premise that if the Chiyuv Pesach came first, that it doesn't let Aninis Bichal. It does let Aninis. The Aninis will stop you from eating it anyway. Okay. Zok the Gemara Vaker. My de Rabba Bar Afuna. What is this halacha of Rabba Bar Afuna? What is this halacha? Where did he say this halacha? And how did he prove that Achilas Psachim is ba'akev? The Tanya we learned. Yom Shmua ki Yom Kvua. Let's say a person heard about the fact that one of his 7 Kravim died a day or two later. So we know that that's considered the Yom Kvura, and therefore, Lemitzvah Shiva Ushloishim. He has to sit Shiva starting from that day, and he has to keep Shloishim starting from that day. Right? So far, so good?
Yeah, Shloshim also starts from that day?
Yeah. Well, that's what it says over here. L'shiva l'shloishim. Miyoyim shmua maschalim l'zayin l'rechitza v'nilas hasandal v'lamed l'geyotz. That's not day. Now, I don't know if we're talking about Lachamaisa. It could be the shloishim, you automatically revert back to what you feel. Okay, it's not gay if a guy didn't. You're talking about a guy who heard right away, but he didn't start sitting Shiva till later because he was busy being anointed. He had to bury the body. And he went to Israel. That's a different story. Here you're talking about a guy who didn't hear about it. Because I know when someone is delayed and he's at Shiva more than his family because he was Isaac with the Kvura, his Shloshim still starts on the first day.
But the Shiva starts.
The Shiva starts later, but the Shloshim starts at the same time. Here the Shloshim starts later because he didn't hear about it. Okay. La'achilas psachim. What about l'gabe achilas psachim? Do you also don't eat the Korbon Pesach because you're anointed? No. That's treated like Yom Likud Atzamos. Now, if I had to ask you before we saw any Perushim, you would say that I guess on the day of Likud Atzamos, you would be allowed to eat Karbanis at night. Right? So that's the distinction that Brash is trying to say. Shiva and Shloshim you have, but it wouldn't prevent you from eating the Korbon Pesach that night. The day that you're mafana your parents from one place to a different place, so you gathered up their bones. So that you have to be a noble that day, right? You have to put Pravavelis there. So, but it seems to connotate that the Yom of Likud Atzamos is a day that would not prevent you from eating the Korbon Pesach at night, but the Yom HaKfura would prevent you from eating the Korbon at night. Would you agree with that? Just based on reading these words? Then the Brisa goes on and says, Echad zeh ve'echad zeh, which I assume would mean Sa Yom Likud Atzamos and Sa Yom Kfura, Toivel ve'oichel bekochim la'arev. So then what's the difference? Then what's the difference if it's kiyam likar atzamos or kiyam kavura? The same thing. It's a steer minei obey. Amrit yom shmua kiyam kavura lemitzvah shiva ushloishim ulachilas lemitzvah shiva ushloishim kama ulachilas psachim kiyam likar atzamos michlal the yom kavura afilu erev nami loyach. That's how it would be mashma, that by yom kavura you wouldn't be able to eat a carbon at night. V'hadatani, and then the Brisa finishes off and says, Echad zeh, ve'echad zeh, toivel, ve'oichel, b'kachim la'arev, which means that even by Yom Kippur you can eat at night. So what's going on over here? Amar B'chizda Tanoi, maybe it's a machloikas Tanoi. So this Brisa is actually illustrating machloikas Tanoi. So Yom Shmuel Yom Kippur l'mitzvah shivu shloishim, and you wouldn't be able to eat a carbon that night. Ulachilas psachim kiyam likar atzamois, and you would be able to eat psachim at night because it's not like Yom Kippur. Zok the Zweite Tana, no. They both have the same halacha. Echad zeh v'echad zeh, toivel v'oichel v'kachim la'arev. Even Yom Kippur, you could be toivel v'oichel kachim la'arev. So you have a machlekes if the night after the Yom Kippur, if you're allowed to eat kachim. That's how Reb Chisda emphasizes the stira minei in this price. So far, so good. Now we're looking for a halacha of psachim, achilas psachim akva. So far, we don't see that yet. Right, but we have an answer to a stira from in the Brisa of Nebei from a Chisda. Rabba Bar Ravuna Amar loikash avidim shat. Kan sheshama shmua al meisoi samach l'shkiyas acham. Where the Brisa says that the day of Yom HaShmua you could eat the Korbon Pesach that night. That's when you heard about the Misa right before Shkia. So the Yom HaShmua is in the day, right? V'chein sheliktu lo atzamois samach l'shkia chama, in the day. V'chein shemeis lemeis v'kovroi samach l'shkia chama. The Yom HaKvura, the Yom HaLikut, the Yom HaShmiya was by day. There, everybody agrees. Echad zeh v'echad zeh. You know why? Because at night it's not the yom of the aninas; it's the night after the aninas, and everybody agrees that the night after the aninas you could eat kachim. The brisa that says that yom hakvura, you're not allowed to eat karbanis by night. Only the Yom Likar Atzamos, you can eat karbanis at night. That's talking about la'achar shkiyas hachama, meaning la'achar shkiyas hachama. So if there was a kvura la'achar shkiyas hachama, there avada you would not be able to eat. Huadin Likar Atzamos, huadin. If it happened after Shkiyas Chama, then the night is the Yom Haninas. So if it's not a deraisa, we only know a deraisa the Yom Misa, but Yom Akfura, Yom Likar Atzamos, Yom Shmua. I don't know if those are deraisa, but those are all the Yom Haninos. There you wouldn't be able to bring the carbon.
We're not in the Chiluk, he finds out 2 days later, he finds out a month later.
Yes, the Rashi says we're only speaking about within 3 days. We're not talking about Shmur Kroy, but not Shmur Chayka. A Shmur Chayka is a whole different story. So that's the text. So let's have a look inside. Rabba Bar Afuna Amar, I'm in Rashi, the 4th line from the wide lines. Kan sheshama Shmua shalaktu la'atzamas shakaver meishay b'yudalid samach l'shkiyas hachama. The kan la'achar shkiyas hachama. Seifo de katani b'chulu oichel kachim, the kol shekain pischai, right? When it says echod zeh ve'echod zeh, what is the lashon of Brisa? Echod zeh ve'echod zeh. Toivel v'oichel b'kachim la'erev, al kachim, the kol shekain pischai, kishabal lov, echod me'elu lefnei shkiyas hachama. When this happened before Shkia, the hava leila erev yom kavura, the Havalei Erev Leil Yom Kfura, V'Leil Yom Shmua, V'Leil Yom Likud Atzamos. It's the night after. if the Aninus happened before Shkia, then the night after is the night after. V'savar Yom Kvura loy tosuf tofes leiloi afilu midirabanan. And this price holds that the Yom HaKvura, there's no din of Aninus at night at all. The Chol Sheken Yom Shmua v'likar atzomas. So therefore, all these three items, echad zeh, you could all eat kachim at night, because it's not the Yom Aninus, it's the Leil following the Yom Aninus, and there's no such din Aninus in the night after. V'hadatani reisha ulachilas psochim ki Yom likar atzomas, but that the reisha said lachilas, which is mashma. There's a difference between likar atzomas and Yom Kvura. The ilu Yom Kvura lo yochal. That's kisheira loy echad me'elu la'achesh shkiyas. That's if one of these things occurred after shkiyas hachama, the hava laila zeh Yom Kvura atzmai v'lo leil Yom Kvura. That's much worse, because now this night is the Yom Kvura, right? It's not the night after the Yom Kvura, it is the Yom Kvura, because it happened at night. So therefore, afal gavd afhu midirabanan, even though even the Yom Kvura is only midirabanan, hechmiru b'yom kvur atzmoi yoser miyom shmua v'likut la'ishur b'pesach. That's what the first half of the brayso is saying. That when it comes to eating kachim, likut atzmos is like yom shmua, and there they wouldn't answer. Even b'yom itself, even yom likut atzmos, and b'yom shmua, they would not answer you to eat a Korbon Pesach. But yom kvura, they will answer you from eating the Korbon Pesach. Al b'yoyim likut loy asru b'Pesach, on the yoyim likut itself, even though he's an Onen, they wouldn't prevent him from eating the Korbon Pesach. El b'shar kochim hitzrichu lahamtin ad oren. Really, you can even eat by day if it's a Korbon Pesach. But other kochim, they said, wait until the night. So don't eat during the actual oina. So in this case, if this occurred at night, the Korbon Pesach you can eat even during the actual oina. I'm calling it the oina because even during the actual oina of the adinos, it's not a problem. It's not a problem to eat the Korbon Pesach because the whole thing is midrabanan, and they didn't enforce it for the Korbon Pesach, but for other korbanos they did. Now that they didn't enforce it, that's only for Yom Shmuel and Likar Tzomas. Yom Kvura they wouldn't eat the Korbon Pesach either. Lachilas psochim have a yom shmua ki yom likut, and therefore v'oichol pischa v'afilu shama oiliket achashkia to have a yom shmua atzma v'yom likut atzamais. Afilu achi will be sorry because when they made the gzeira, they didn't make it to apply to a Pesach. They only made it to apply to Yom HaKfur. Now the question you're going to ask is Yom HaKfur the aninus is derabbanan, right? Yom likut atzamais is derabbanan. Yom shmua is derabbanan. Why did they be mechalek in derabbanan? For Likar Thomas and for Shmuel, they said, there we're going to let you bring the Pesach. But Yom Kvura, we're not letting you. They're all their abundance. Why do they make the distinction? A good question, no? Yeah. So Zog to Gemara, Mashenkin be Yom Kvura Atzmai. The Ilu Meis Le Meis Bu Yudalit. The cover Oisai Amamim. And the Goyim made the Kvura because it's on Yom Tov. La'achar Shkia, the Yudalit. No, he died on Yud Gimel, but the Kvura was the Achar Shkia of Yudalit. So we're dealing only with the Rabbanans over here. Asur lechol b'Pesach because it's Yom HaKfura. It's Yom HaKfura mamish. It's not the layl after, right? The avagav, the chala of simchas haregel. Even though before the kfura there was already the simchas haregel chala, it's already nighttime. The einoi noyeg avelus haregel. Hanimili avelus dimidrabanon he uksivis hamachta b'chagecha. Aval aninus le'asa b'kochim will be chal upon him, even though the aninus is also a durabon, right? The aninus of Yom HaKfur is durabon. Ve'echad zeh, meaning heicha the bo alav mi boy join oichel b'kochim le'er. That we say echad zeh, even Yom HaKfur oichel b'erev. That's if the kfura was in the day, and this is Leila. The Leila leitofis, the aninus of the Yom HaKfur, which prohibits him from eating kochim, does not apply to the night after. Umiu b'yoim osir. The day of the kfur, it's osir b'shar kochim. Afilu yom shmuel v'likar atzamos bar mi Pesach k'dim mefarish taima oichel b'kochim k'dim mefarish taima, like we explained v'yaz. Okay, so we still have this problem. We still have this problem as to why is why is the Yom Makfura any different, right? We're going to get to that. I'll tell you what Rashi says. Rashi is going to tell us a little later, because 9 out of 10 times, the Yom Kippur is also the Yom HaMisa. So they were afraid if we would be lenient on Yom Kippur, people would also be lenient on the Yom HaMisa. But Yom Shmuah and the Yom L'Kitas Atzomis is for sure not the day of the Misa. Okay, Zok to Gemara weiter. Zok to Gemara weiter. So Zok to Rabba Barafuna. Kanta Shmuel Lo Yisomach Shkis Kamo. V'chan sheliktu lo yatomis Yisomach Shkis Kamo. V'chein shemeis l'meis v'kor Yisomach Shkis Kamo. V'chan lach Shkis Kamo. Okay, Freit Gemara. La'achar Shkis Kamo. My dahava. If we're talking about the Korbon was brought on Erev Yom Tov, right? And now it's L'achar Shkia, we're saying that even though it's the Yom of the Likud Atzomos itself, it's the Yom of the Shmuah, we're going to let him eat the Korbon Pesach, right? Mm-hmm. Why should we let him eat the Korbon Pesach? My dahava. What are we worried about? That he's not going to shecht? He already shechted it. The person only died at night. So why should we let him eat from the Korbon Pesach? Same kasha we asked before. And the Torah says what you answered. And that's what we're looking for. That's what we're looking for. Is this a crisis? Because I'm still in the middle of saying shir. So from this shot that we just said, we see clearly that there's a chiyuv to eat from the Korbon Pesachim. But I don't think we're done with the raya yet, because I think the Gemara continues on. Let me see.
How far did you get?
Yeah, the raya, we have not yet settled in with the raya yet. But where did I get with the oilam? Oh, I got to just to the Tanya, the raya from Rabbi Baravuna. Okay, I still want to get the recording, and I'm going to continue. At least I'll try to get it clear. By tomorrow I'll have it more clear. Rabashi says a different teretz. My echad zeh ve'echad zeh harikamar. Echad yoim shemua ve'echad yoim likut toivel v'oichel b'kotchem leir. We're not addressing at all Yom Akfura. But Zok Gemara v'hoder Rabashi b'dusahi. This is not a good shot what Rabashi said, because Michti Alakai, the Brisa just said that Yom Shmuah is Kiyom Likar Atzomos. So you know what it should have said? Just said Zevazeh, you could eat the Korbon Pesach. That's what it should have said. Zevazeh Toiva V'Oichel B'Kotchem Leir. Echad Zeh is mashma. It's going back on something else. It should say Zevazeh Miboile Al Shemami No B'Dusahi, because Echad Zeh must be referring to the Yom Akfur. Zok to Gemara Umay Tanoi. Rab Chisda, he wanted to forever the stira in the Brisa as a machloikas tanoim, and he wanted to say that there is a machloikas tanoim. He wanted to say that there's a machloikas tanoim between the first half of the Brisa that says on the Yom Kvura La'erev you cannot eat a Korbon Pesach, but in Sefer it says that by the Yom Kvura you could eat kachim. What did he wanted to say? He wanted to say it's a machloikas tanoim if after the Yom Kavura you can eat kachim. So frek Gemara umay tanoi. Where do you see this machloikas as to whether or not the night after the Yom Kavura you can eat kachim or not? The Tanya ad mosai mis oinen olov. A mace dies. How long is a person an oinen for? Kol hayoim, the whole day. Rabbi Yomer, even less than that. Kol's man shaloi nitba. Now, the catch is going to be, if you're going to say in our brisa, from Chis is going to say that in our brisa, there's a man damar who holds that even at night, he's an oinen, and it's also to eat karbanos. Here you clearly see that the most chomer kashita holds kol hayoim. Rebbe's Mekel and says not even kol hayoim, only until the kvura. So, but before we can get into that raya, let's focus on this machlekes munei bei. Doesn't make sense. The Mayaskina, what exactly is the case about Mosai Mesoinin Alav? Elena b'Yom Misa. If we're talking about the Yom Misa, mi ika, the less lay, the Yom Misa, the toughest lay mider abanon, Everybody holds that the Yom HaMisa, the night after, there's still aninus over here, and you can't eat karbonis. So this brisa that seems to have a machlokes whether or not the aninus ends at the end of the day, or even earlier than the end of the day, that can't be speaking about the Yom HaMisa. Visu, Rabbi Yomer calls man shalei nikbar kavru ishtarilei. You're telling me that Rebbe is makel over the shita of the Tanakama, and the Tanakama is machmer to say kol hayoyim of Yom HaKfur, and the Rebbe says just till the Kfur itself. That's not true. Umi ika the lesle v'achrisa kiyoymar. Is it possible that anybody does not hold of the pasuk that says that v'achrisa kiyoymar, meaning the whole day there is a din of aninus, not part of the day until the Kfur. Amar Rab Shimon, ayoim kavurakai. So you know what they're discussing? They're not discussing the Yom HaMisa. They're discussing the Yom HaKfura. So therefore, what do we have over here? We have a machlokes. In the Yom HaKfura, ad masay misoyin elov, kol hayoim, the whole Yom HaKfura, Rabbi Yomer, on the Yom HaKfura, it's only until the Kfura itself. And so you see from here, right now, a machlokes about the Yom HaKfura. But the problem is, this doesn't stem with the machlokes tanoim that Rabbi Chisda was talking about. Because according to Rabbi Chisda, the machlokes is it the whole day, or is it even at night? So maskif, la Rabbi Yosef, el hadikatani, hashemeya, al meisai, kimalaket atzomois, toivel v'oichel b'kachim la erev, the brisa that says that the Yom HaShmiyah, you can eat kachim la erev, we make a diet. Mechlal the Yom Kfura, afilu la erev nami lo yach. That tells us that on the Yom HaKfura, after the Yom HaShmuah is kimalaket atzomois, and you can eat kachim by night. But the Yom HaKfura, you wouldn't be able to eat kachim by night. Hamani, this would not fit in like Rabbi, nor will it fit like the Rabbanan. Because according to everybody, the Yom HaKfura stops at the end of the day. Elatritz, you're going to have another pshat in this brisa that we just brought of Admosai mis Oinen. And this is going to be the right pshat in the brisa. Admosai mis Oinen alav, kol oisoi hayoim v'leiloi. So we're changing the brisa. Not Admosai mis Oinen alav kol hayoim. The Tanakhama says kol hayoim v'leiloi. Why? Because the night after the Yom HaKfura, he's also an onion and he also cannot eat kachim. Rabbi Yomer calls man shaloi nikbar, aval nikbar beloi leiloi. Calls man shaloi nikbar, aval nikbar beloi leiloi. After the Kfura, the whole day is osir, but not the night. So you have a machlokes here. You have a machlokes here whether or not the din aninus of Yom HaKfura goes a whole night, or if it only lasts for the day. Zog the Heilige Rashi. Zog the Heilige Rashi. Inema. I'm sorry. Ella. Kol oisa yoim shal kfura v'leiloi. That was the Tanakama, and the Rebbe Yomer calls man shloi nikbar. Aval kavroi ishtri lebelayla. If you made a kvura, then the aninus ends at the end of the day. Nobody would hold that after the kvura, even on the same day as the kvura, he is ois einin. So therefore, the machlokes Rabbi and Rabban will be: is the aninus a whole night, or does it stop at the end of the day? And therefore, you have a machlokes of Reb Chisda wants to say. Explains the Friedrich Brisa as to whether or not by Yom HaKfura does the aninus last the whole night, or does it stop at the end of the day? Now, Rabbi Yirmiyah commented on this. Amura Kamei Rabbi Yirmiyah. They said over this machlokes in front of Rabbi Yirmiyah that there's a machlokes by Yom HaKfura if the aninus lasts all night or it stops at the end of the day. And you know how what he commented? He said, Omar Gavar Rabbi Rabbi Yosef Lema Hachi. Could someone as great as Rabbi Yosef said this pshat that Rebbe is being mekel and Chachamim are being machmer? They say that aninus is all night, and Rebbe says aninus only is till the day. Lema Rebbe, could someone like Rabbi Yosef say Lema Haki that Lema the Rebbe Lakula? We know that Rebbe is machmer. Vatanya ad Mosai mis Oinen alov. Until when are you an Oinen? Kol zaman she'einin nikbar afilu mikan bad asar yom. Even if the Gvura was 10 days later, he still has the din of an onion. Divi Rebbe. So Rebbe says his aninus will last many days until the Kfura. The Chachamim are makel. They say the Aninus is only for the first day. So you see clearly when it comes to Dine Onen, Rebbe is much more machmer. So how could you, Rabbi Yosef, tell me that Rebbe holds the Aninus of Yom HaKfura ends by the end of the day? Elo Tritzachi. This is how you're going to have to explain the machlokes between Rebbe and the Chacham. Ad Mosai hu mis Onen alov, kol oisa yom beloy leiloi. The Tanakhama says the Aninus is the whole day, not the night. Rebbe Yoimar calls man sholoi nikbar, and I'm going to look at the base in the Bach. Calls man sholoi nikbar toifus leiloi imoi. As long as he didn't bury the mace, it's toifus leiloi imoi. V'im nikbar toifus leiloi. So there's a little funny gears over here. So it's calls man sholoi nikbar toifus leiloi imoi. Let's see Rashi how to be gorgeous because it's a little bit funny. Zok Rashi. So Zok Rashi Vatanya Alma Rebbe L'Chomer Amar B'Chivin Lechel Efrushim Plukta D'Rabbanon Lechel B'Oidei Muta L'Fanov. Since you can't say that the Rabbanon hold that when the mace is there, because for sure there it's still an onion. Akarchach beleil yom kfur pligi. The machlokes is leil yom kfur. The Ka'amar Rebbe afilu cover l'soif yud yomim. Even if the kfur was 10 days later, mis onion of leil yom kfur. Even the night after the yom kfur, our Rebbe holds that he would be an onion. So the machlokes between Rebbe and the Chachamim is that Rebbe holds the night after the Kfura. He's still nining, and the Chachamim hold he's not. So again, let's have a look at it. Rebbe Yomer calls man shalai nikbar v'nikbar toifus leiloi. No matter when the Kfura is, it includes the night, and the Chachamim hold only the day of and not the night. Amru Kamei Rava. They said this in front of Rava. V'tika Amar Rebbe Yom Kvura Toifes Leiloi Midrabanon. Vibalt Rebbe said that Yom Kvura is Toifes Leiloi Midrabanon. Okay, we're going to put a hold on here because first we have to figure out what the raya to Reb Chisda was. So Zokt Rashi as follows. The machlokes here is that Rebbe holds even Leil Kvura, even Leil Yom Kvura. There's a chiyuv aninus. So this that Rabbi Yirmiyah clarified the machlokes between Rebbe and the Rabbanan, where Rebbe holds the night after has a din aninus, and the Chacham hold no. That's what Rabbi Chisda meant way up here when Rabbi Chisda said Tanoihi. We have a machlokes Tanoim. The first time is mashma that the night of Yom Kfura afidu erev nami loy. That's going to go according to Rebbe. And then when it says later on echad zeh ve'echad zeh toiva v'echad b'kachim la'erev, meaning even Yom Kfura he's not an onion at night. That's going according to the Rabbon. Zog to Gemara. Okay, so what do we have over here? Rebbe holds the Yom Kfura toifes leiloi midrabanan. Rebbe holds that the Yom Kfura there the night is only also midrabanan. Michlal the Yom Misa toifes leiloi midaraisa. If Rebbe holds that there's a chiyuv derabanan for the night after the day, so midirabanan the Yom Kfura he has a din oinen, and the Rabbanan are machmer to extend that to night as well. That means mechlal the Yom Misa toifes leiloi midaraisa. It must be that how do he know to extend the Isser oinen from the Yom Kfura to the night after? Because he saw that parallel by the Daraisa, which is on the Yom HaMisa, he's an Oinen Midaraisa, and he must have seen that by the Yom HaMisa, he's also an Oinen Midaraisa the night after. Mechlal the Misa Toibis Leila Midaraisa. And therefore, when the Takana was made to create an Isher Oinen for the Yom HaKfura, the Takana was made Kan the Daraisa, that it's also side by day, side the following night. V'savar Rabbi Aninus Lailo Dairaisa. That means Rabbi must hold that the Aninus by night, by Yom HaMisa is Dairaisa. But that's not true. Because Vatanim we learned, Hein Hayoim, which Aaron HaKoyin told Moshe Rabbeinu, V'yidaber Aaron al-Moshe, Hein Hayoim Ikrivu es Chatosom v'seilosom l'fnei Hashem. And Amanoidin. So what did he say? Hein Hayoim Ani Hayoim Osir, V'layla Muter. Me, as an Onen, but as Zman HaMiluyim, we're the only Kohanim available to eat from this Korbon, are myself and my children, and we're all Onenim. So the Torah said that although during the day I'm an Onen, I shouldn't eat, tonight I'll be able to eat from the Korbon, V'layla Muter. But Uladairais, Ben B'yoin, Ben B'layla Osir, Devei Rabbi Yehuda. So here you have Rabbi Yehuda holds that Aninus by night, Uladairais, is Dairaisa Osir to eat Karbanis. But Rabbi argues, Rabbi Yomer Aninus Laila ain't a B'divrei Torah, ela B'divrei Sofer. Rabbi says that even Aninus Laila by Yom HaMisa is only B'divrei Sofer. So if it's only also B'divrei Sofer by the Aninus Dairaisa of Yom HaMisa, Yom HaKvura, which the whole Aninus is only B'divrei Rabbanan, why would Rabbi Aser even the Laila Acherav? Zok Gemara La'olam D'Rabbanan. Let's say Rabbi holds Avada that Aninus is the Rabbanan. However, V'chachamim also chizik l'divreim Yosy mishal Torah. Even though the Torah said Midaraisa there's only Aninus of Yom HaMisa b'Yom and not by night, the Rabbanan are more machmer because on there the Rabbanan dike Aninus of Yom HaKvura they were machmer even to the night after. So the Rabbanan were more makbid on their takana of Yom HaKvura, the Torah was makbid on its Isra of Yom HaMisa. But Avadi the Rabbanan Aser the night afterwards of Yom HaMisa as well. Okay, we'll stop here and we'll be mamshech tomorrow.